Offbeat Intros is a section of the show devoted to learning more about the artist. The YouTube channel is to promote the show. If you would like to hear full songs, please use one of the links in the video description to listen to the full show.
This is Offbeat.
This is Offbeat.
So the Offbeat Reggae Radio Show prides itself in playing the finest reggae, rocksteady, roots, dub and ska. Little did I know, but it seems that I may have stolen the byline from this next band, although listing it in a slightly different order. Located in Cardiff, Wales, the person I'm talking to now reports to not only play all of the genres that I claim to play for the show, but also a bit of lovers rock and soul as well. With over a decade of producing music and touring, he's far away from new to the scene, sharing stages with the likes of Suggs, Alberosi, Less Than Jake, to name only a handful from a rather large and impressive list, may I say. And there's got to be some great stories to tell. And this is why we're here. Offbeat Intros is pleased to welcome Adam, aka Captain Accident, to the show. Hello, how's it going?
Hello, how are you? Okay?
Yeah, I'm amazing. It shouldn't be crazy to say, but you were actually out gigging last night. How did it go?
Yes. It's the third gig that the band and I have done since everything went upside down. It seems to be getting better each show, tightening up a lot more and starting to feel the vibe from the crowd and stuff. So it was good. Last night was really good, actually. The venue was lovely. It was a sat-down crowd, which it's the first one of this type that we've done. So, to start with, it felt a bit difficult to gauge if the crowd were enjoying it, because usually, I suppose, I'd use dancing to gauge how well the crowd were enjoying it. If the room's dancing, then I know they're having a good time. But because it was a sat-down audience, it was a bit more difficult to gauge. But I think by about the third song, I could tell with the applauses after the songs that they were having a good time.
Yeah, sure. And this was Westival 2021.
That's right, yeah.
So the word of Captain Accident has been spreading for a while now, but I'd like to attack the interview from the point of view of somebody who is only just finding you. So with that in mind, could you share with me how and when did Captain Accident come about?
So I started writing this sort of reggae ska stuff under the guise of Captain Accident back in sort of 2009. Originally, it was just a bedroom project that I never really, I sort of did it for fun. Never really expected it to go where it's gone so far. But I was using MySpace at the time. I don't know if you remember that. And I was posting.
Oh yeah, I've still got my account. No idea what's on it, but I've still got it somewhere.
Same here, actually. I probably have still got it. If I log in, I've probably got loads of spam messages. But so I sort of started uploading these reggae songs that I'd been writing onto my MySpace. I was really surprised and taken back, I guess, by the feedback I was getting from my friends. And then I got asked to play a gig doing this stuff for my little brother-in-law's, I think it was his 18th or his 21st or something, which would have been the first time this music was played live. And the pub was absolutely full and the whole pub was singing along to these songs. So I think from that moment, I thought, God, I've really got to concentrate on maybe making something of this. And that's how it started.
And what about the name? I'm sure this is a very boring question and you've answered it hundreds of times, but where did Captain Accident come from?
It was actually my nickname prior to attaching it to an artist name. It was actually my nickname. I'm just extremely clumsy.
Mrs. Offbeat said exactly that when we were talking about it earlier today. She said, I'll bet you it was a nickname from school.
I mean, it wasn't quite as far back as school, but I imagine it seemed like my clumsiness seemed to start at a later age, actually. Possibly when I started enjoying life, sort of partying a little bit, should we say. The clumsiness definitely crept in, but now it's pretty bad. If there's anything I can bang my head on or break, I managed to do just that.
Oh, right. Maybe we're quite similar. I used to work at a radio station called Delta FM, and they called me Hapless Andy because whenever I went into the studio, something would break in my hands.
Yeah, that sounds very similar.
There we go. Something in common already, and we've only been chatting for about 4 minutes. Speaking of, why don't we get on the first of your tracks, and then we can talk about some of the impressive names that you've shared a stage with. The first one that we've got lined up is Restless Man. Is that good for you?
Yes, I love that one a lot.
It is the Offbeat Reggae Radio Show. It is Andy here talking to Captain Accident. We've just heard the first of his tunes, Restless Man. You have shared the stage with some rather impressive names on your bio as I was taking a flick through the website. Aswad, the Skints, the Scatolites, Bad Manners, the Toasters, Neville Staple, Fishbone. Oh my lord, that is a rather impressive list of people in the 10 years. Well, it's more than that now, isn't it? That you've been about. I mean, wow.
Yeah, I mean, we've been very lucky. I've been, had the chance to play with a lot of my heroes and stuff. It's been really, it's had some really lucky opportunities like that, for sure.
I mean, even touring with Toots, I wondered if there was a standout story or a couple from the past 10 years that you would like to share with us.
I would say out of all of the acts that we've been lucky enough to play with, I think Toots and the Maytals for me is the biggest one. You know, I was brought up listening to Toots and the Maytals, and you know, I loved Toots' voice since I was a tiny kid. You know, I've been really, really in awe of his vocals and stuff. So getting to do those tours has been absolutely out of this world. In terms of standout moments on those tours, I mean, there's been a couple. One thing I really loved was when we arrived at a show in Glasgow, O2, and we arrived early. And we were lucky enough to catch Toots and the backing singers just going over harmonies and practicing harmonies together and just working on the backing vocals. And it was like, it felt like such a privilege to be in the room whilst they were doing that just pre-gig rehearsal, a cappella vocal run through. It felt like such a good, you know, privilege to be there, sort of thing, and to be able to hear Toots' rich voice in an unplugged environment. It was really nice, and those backing singers were incredible as well. So that was really special.
And it's when they're practicing and riffing off each other like that you realise quite how much talent is on that stage.
Oh yes, absolutely. You know, you were sort of directing their harmonies and stuff as well, and saying, you know, do try this one, try that one. And it was just such a special moment to actually be able to experience that from my musical hero Toots. It's quite amazing. Another really notable moment, which I think is something I'll never forget, was when we were playing with them in Bands in the Sands down in Cornwall, and we were on the side of the stage. Carl, the guitar player, sort of shimmied over to me during the set and said, do you know how to play Monkey Man? And I was like, what? He said, yeah, do you know how to play Monkey Man? And of course, I've been playing Monkey Man for years and years and years in covers bands. And it turned out I think he needed to nip off possibly for an emergency toilet or something like that. And he basically asked me to get up and play Monkey Man with Toots and the Maytals, which was the most mind-blowing thing I've ever done. So I guess I was an honorary Maytal for 3 minutes or something.
Wow.
Probably the most nervous I've ever been on stage, mind you.
I can imagine. I can imagine. But yeah, what a memory to have, though. You're very lucky. It
was. But then something I did notice after, then watching back and watching them over the rest of the tour, I realised that I played the rhythm guitar parts. And then watching what Carl was doing for the rest of the tour, I was meant to play the lead part. So I'll forever kick myself for not playing the lead guitar part instead of the rhythm guitar part, which I could have played both, but for some reason I assumed it was the rhythm and it was actually the lead part. So
well, we won't undermine it. That's impressive regardless.
It was amazing. It was.
So that was kind of an invited stage invasion. But before we started recording, you mentioned another person invading your stage.
Yes. Well, that was a surreal experience. That was. We did this charity event in a hotel in Cardiff. There was a guest of honour there who happened to be Suggs. I mean, it was incredible. The fact that we were going to be able to meet Suggs was amazing. And then halfway through the set, we were playing 5446, obviously with Toots and the Maytals. And this was prior to ever touring with Toots and the Maytals as well. And Suggs just appeared on the stage, grabbed the microphone, and started doing the vocals for us, which was really incredible, you know.
Wow, some brilliant experiences that you've managed to have with other famous people. But then again, you know, you're doing it. You're out there in your own right. I'm sure there's been some standout gigs that blew your mind with just you doing your thing. Yeah,
I mean, it's really hard to put a finger on favourite gigs. I mean, there's a couple of venues around the country which we always have a really good gig at. Obviously, these big support slots have been incredible. In terms of, I suppose, sort of the headline shows, album launch shows are always brilliant, you know, and album tours are always brilliant. You know, we've had some really good gigs out in Europe and stuff as well. I mean, there's a couple of venues, like I say, the New Cross Inn in London, we always have an amazing time. And there's a little pub in Salisbury, which has sort of almost become like a hometown show. Even though we're based in Cardiff, it's almost become a bit of a hometown kind of event. A place called the Winchester Gate. It's a tiny little pub, but we always have the best time there. And this place called the Hairy Dog in Derby. Rather than saying there's actual gigs that have stuck out, there's venues which we always seem to have an amazing time in.
Gotcha. Okay then. It's interesting then that you mentioned that album launch parties were good, because that's on the horizon, along with your new single, which we are going to promote as well. If you'd be so kind, could you introduce the single, and we'll get back on and chat about it afterwards.
Sure thing. So this is the next single off the new album. This is called Wings.
Like the wings of Icarus,
It is the brand new song from Captain Accident, and it is called Wings. It's from the upcoming album Bad Press. By the time this show comes out, that song will already be out on all digital platforms, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Lovely. Are you doing CD, vinyl releases, anything like that?
Not for the single, but for the album, yes. CD release for the album, hoping to get some vinyl pressed up at some point in the not too distant future. But I've heard some rumours about there being a big backlog and a big delay in vinyl pressing currently. So I've decided to sort of hold off for the time being and just do it as a CD and digital release.
Sure, I've noticed that actually firsthand. I've been going, oh yes, on vinyl, lovely, I'll buy that, and then realise I can't get it for another 4 months. So I can totally understand where you're coming from there. The new album Bad Press comes out when? Right,
the album comes out on Friday the 20th of August.
Not too long to wait for that one. How many singles have you released from that so far, including Wings?
So far, only 2. So there was a song called Playing Field that I wrote actually during the first lockdown. Obviously meant to be part of the album that I was writing at the time. Given the relevance to the situation we were in, and I guess still are in a little bit, I decided I needed to get that song out then, really, because it was such a current, topical subject. So yeah, Playing Field came out last June, and the next single, obviously Wings, has just been released now. So.
Gotcha. Okay, so if somebody wants a little bit of a taster, there are 2 singles presently out on digital streaming platforms where they can get more of a feel. Obviously, Wings we've just heard. The new album coming out is very exciting. I'm looking forward to listening to it on the 20th of August. Is there anything else that you'd like to push, or what we'll do is we'll move on to the influence track and the artists that you've sent over?
No, I think that's fine. Normally I'd have a tour to push with an album release, but I think with the whole COVID situation, it's been really hard to nail down a proper album tour, so I think it's a shame, because I think it'll probably be autumn or even February or early next year before we can actually have a real long tour that I'd like to push with an album. But,
yeah, fair enough. Quite a lot of the bands that I've talked to in the past months, though, have decided to push more to performing online and getting an audience there to try and push things. Are you going to do a similar thing?
I think that's something we've been thinking about. Yeah, doing some online shows for sure. Yeah, awesome. Although there's nothing like a real gig, is there, with a real audience, and I'm sort of dying for that to come back, really.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Especially now. Hopefully it's not too far around the corner now.
Yes.
Too long.
Cross fingers and toes, and we'll see how it goes. Oh, do you know, accidentally rhymed. I must be a lyricist myself. Don't steal that. I'll get my royalties. Anyway, let's move ourselves along. You sent over some examples of what motivated you into music. I wonder if you could tell me about the artists and songs that you sent over, and maybe end on the one that you'd like us to play.
Yeah, sure thing. So yeah, I sort of picked 3 tracks really that have been quite an influence, in my life musically. The first one I chose was Toots and the Maytals' Time Tough. As I say, I was brought up with Toots and the Maytals, and I've been a huge fan since day zero. But something about Toots' voice, obviously, the way he projects so much soul into his voice is it's just amazing, isn't it? He's just got the most soulful voice out there. And also, I think a bit of influence I've taken from Toots and the Maytals is the sort of the backing vocals, the oohs and the ahs. I think it's really, really nice way of layering and texturing vocals, and that's something I've tried to sort of carry in my own music, really. And the same really with a soulful singing. I think it's really important to, especially if you're singing about a subject you're passionate about. It's really important, I think, to try and get some soul into your voice so it sounds more real. So the other song I picked was Santeria by Sublime. A big fan of them sort of in my teens. There's a dozen songs by Sublime I could have picked, but Santeria is just a beautiful song. Again, Bradley Knowles is very soulful. It's a very soulful voice. That's something I really like. There's something about the structure of Sublime songs, and in particular Santeria. It really works for me. It's structured like a pop song. Verse, chorus, guitar solo, and then a chorus, and then an end. And that's a sort of song structure I tend to use quite often. I tend to go back to that formula, and I like the way that Sublime have done that. And I also love their use of guitar solos to break up the singing. They do it really well. And then the last song, which is the one I think you're going to play, probably my all-time favourite reggae song. And surprisingly, this is an instrumental, even though I do love Ali Campbell's voice. But I've chosen Adela by UB40 from the Signing Off album. That whole album is a huge influence for me. Lyrically, it's very, very apt with the sort of stuff I write. Sadly, some of the topics that they cover in that album, even though it's 30 years old, nearly 40 years old, 81, 40 years old, 41 years old. It came out in 1980, I think, a year before I was born. But it's, it's quite sad, really, that some of the topics that they were addressing then, 40 years ago, are still very much relevant now. But yeah, I sort of love the way that UB40 tackle political issues, and it's very akin to the sort of stuff I tend to write about. But yeah, Adela as a piece of music is just perfect for me. Every instrument seems to be doing the right thing to just make that perfect groove. The guitar does the sort of percussive bubbling, and then you've got all these sort of melodies coming from different instruments. I just think it's a great piece of music. I love it.
It is the influence track from Captain Accident, UB40 and Adela. I'm sad to say that we're nearly done. It's been lovely to talk to you, though. Thank you very much for taking the time with me today.
You're very welcome.
If people do want to find out more about you, the gigs that are coming up, or links to all of your social media platforms, where would you like them to go?
There's a website, www.captainaccident.com, or Facebook /Captain Accident, Twitter /Captain Accident, Instagram /Captain Accident. I think that pretty much covers it, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, they're the big three. They are the big three. Oh, and MySpace, of course.
I think there actually is one. I don't know what's on there. I better check what's on there before I send people there.
Oh, yes, most definitely. Well, I can tell you that very, very soon, if they go to offbeatreggae.com /Captain Accident, they'll find you there as well, because every single featured artist gets their own page.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'll shove out some images of you, some Apple players so people can listen to clips of your music, and also I'll nick some videos off of YouTube so that there is a whole page as a virtual portfolio for you.
Brilliant.
It's been lovely to talk to you. You take care of yourself. Anything new that you want to push, please do get in touch.
Okie doke, will do. Thank you.